Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the next edition of Lesser Known But Awesome Heroes. And with the witching hour upon us, I thought that I would talk about one of the dark supernatural characters of the DC, Vertigo, etc. universe. And unfortunately, guys, I have very mixed biography information for this guy, so I'm going to attempt my best to try to talk about him really quick. This will probably maybe be the shortest lesser known that I've done. So I'm going to be all over the place, guys, so I'm sorry if this isn't the best, lesser known video. I'm kind of irritated myself. But anyway, yes, I will be talking about Hellblazer, aka John Constantine. And yes, this is the same character that Keanu Reeves played, but I'm going to be talking about the comic book version. And in the comic book version, he was not dark-haired and American. He was blonde. He was this blonde-haired, drunkard, chain-smoking English guy. And Constantine was created by Alan Moore during his Swamp Run thing, or his Swamp Thing comic book run. I'm not paying attention. Sorry, guys. During his Swamp Thing run, he was a recurring supporting character, and fans loved him so much that in 1988 he was given his own comic book series, which still to this day is in its original publication. It's past I guess you can say like 2 centuries or like 2 millennia, whatever you want to call it. But it's basically been around since, like 1988. So it's one of the longer running comic book series under Vertigo. And it's also one of their top selling. And the interesting thing is that in John Constantine's Hellblazer universe, there's no mention of superheroes. There's no mention of the other DC universe. So it's believed that the Vertigo verse for Constantine is its own pocket dimension within the DCU. However, other DC supernatural characters have made cameos. Characters like the Phantom Stranger and Swamp Thing and Dream from Neil Gaiman's The Sandman and Zatanna and even Shade the Changing Man have made appearances. And Constantine has made appearances in other DC storylines like Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Infinity Crisis. He was actually part of a post-dill for Brightest Day. So Constantine is used in the DC universe. It's just predominantly he's used in the Vertigo verse of comics more than anything. But with the new 52 coming out, there's going to be a much younger version of Constantine, so they're going to split the continuity with Constantine. There's going to be the Vertigo comics that are still standing, and then for the DC 52, they're going to have a much younger and more tame John Constantine with part of the Justice League Dark that they're doing. Him teaming with Shade the Changing Man, Madame Xanadu, and Deadman. He has been referenced in Captain Atom and even Firestorm, but they pretty much had to change his name or find some way to alter him. So he's not really a very family-friendly character. I mean, this guy, and he's also a very big anti-hero character in the fact that he's done things that are very questionable, that no sane person should do. And also he's had flings with demons, he's fought rogue angels, he's fought demons, zombies, werewolves, vampires. John Constantine is a man on every supernatural front. And he has very few friends, and this is due to the fact that his friends blatantly are put in danger, and Constantine is haunted by the ghosts of, the friends that he has let die. However, he's a man who really just does not give a shit. I mean, there was one issue in the John Constantine novel that I have, or at least one of the many paid trade paperbacks, where all the ghosts of his friends who had died are haunting him, and he tells them all to piss off so he can get some sleep. So yeah, Constantine is not a very nice man. Not at all. And Constantine, like I said, he's went against rogue angels, he's fought demons. This guy, and most of the stuff in the Keanu Reeves movie is actually true. He does have a second sight, he can see who's an angel and who's a demon. He also has been able to astrally project himself into hell, although they never really go into how or why, but he just can. And Constantine, he's got balls on him, because this is the same guy who actually stares down Lucifer. Yes, he stares down Satan himself and told him once, as Satan was about ready to try to steal his soul, to go, excuse my language, to go and fuck himself. So Constantine, that alone earns him merit. Any guy that can tell Satan to go fuck himself is a character that I like, because that takes balls. But getting back to what I was actually saying, I mean, Constantine, despite not being a mainstream character, he's had a lot of graphic novels. He's had at least, if I had to guesstimate, like 11 or 12 graphic novels. He's had tons of Halloween and tons of specials, and he's been in a lot of events. So Constantine is kind of one of those characters that he's used a lot, but yet he's not mainstream, which I find very interesting. But he is definitely a great character in his own right. He's a very dark character. He's not the most he's definitely not a heroic character. But if you need somebody to save the world, if there's a demon invasion, then Constantine is the first person that you go to, because he is literally just that awesome. Like, he's literally the guy that even Zatanna and Dr. Fate would go to. And although he's not the most well-known character, everything that I just named off is exactly what makes Constantine awesome. And while the Keanu Reeves movie did adapt the Bad Habits storyline from Hellblazer, and while there is going to be a sequel, I more or less will be sticking with the mainstream comic book version of Constantine, because as messed up as he is definitely a very, very awesome hero, and definitely a kick-ass occult detective slash, supernatural horror character. But that's it, guys. Stay tuned for the next one. Sorry guys, I had to come back really quick to actually mention a few fun facts. Constantine, I forgot to mention, although he's got all these graphic novels, he's also had a lot of paperback trade books done as well, like regular books, other than the comic book trades. And also, little fun fact that I thought that I would leave with you guys. Originally, instead of being called Hellblazer, it was going to be called Hellraiser. However, during production, they had to actually change the name because of the Clive Barker movie of the same name came out that year in the late 80s, early 90s. I realize that that's a bit of a moot point for this video, but I thought it'd be a fun fact to share. Anyway, yeah, stay tuned.